Welcome back, listeners. I'm Robin Black. This is It's All About Healing podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about building authenticity. And I have a very special guest with me today, Matthew Curtis. And I absolutely love him. He is very patient because I am not tech savvy at all. But he's going to be speaking to us about his whole transition into starting his business as an entrepreneur as well. Matthew, how are you today?
Robin, I'm wonderful. Um, I met Robin, it was like 4 months ago. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we met 4 months ago. I was starting a different product, and I pitched it to Robin. And it's funny that she says describes me as patient because I gave her the worst product demo ever. Things broke like 7 times. I couldn't explain why they broke. It was horrible. And Robin's like, "Oh, cool. I can see what you're trying to do here." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, I would want to talk to her about any problem I had because like the ability to see what's beyond broken is really cool and really unique, and be able to see like I see what you're trying to do here." I'm really excited to come on and talk just generally about the product too. But I'm excited to hang out with you.
Thank you. I love that though. The ability to see beyond what's broken. I absolutely love
Yeah, well,
that.
that's what you do. Like I listen to your podcast, and like that's like um that's what the whole journey is about. It's seeing, these people who they have got an issue, they've got a problem, but they're whole and they will be whole.
Mhm.
They just need someone to believe in them.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. So tell us a little bit about you, how everything started, and a little bit about your background.
Oh boy. So I went to school for philosophy, and I loved it, man. If I could just like read great books and study great things all day long, that would be really wonderful for me. But I got into building tech just because about a decade ago, just because I saw like all the potential in it. Like I think that the first time I saw it like as like really something worthwhile is that I needed a piece of information, and I looked at Google and I was like, oh, I can discover all of this stuff, and I can really like it really helps me with my process. So I spent
Mhm.
decades building companies. The first couple ones, it was really, really bad. Like as in, like I had belief in myself because that's never been a problem for me, but like
Mhm.
no ability at all, like zero ability. I was like knocking on doors, like trying to convince people to work with me from dev shops, and they're like, "This is not
Yeah.
how it's done." I was like, "Well, whatever." So eventually, like learned enough of the ropes to like actually build things. I spent the last 2.5 years working in like actually working for a company which I hadn't done for a really long time. And worked for a company called H1. We grew and scaled, and it was really great. We were solving the problem of if I'm the problem of who a doctor is and what a doctor has done in the past is actually really difficult. There's
Mhm.
like really bad information about that. You can, when you're looking for like who's the expert in whatever family medical problem I have, it's actually really hard to find who's good.
Right.
Um, and so we helped solve that problem. That was really fun. We got laid off in November, and that was like a big shock and transition because we had been doing really well, but the stock market kind of collapsed, and that's just how it goes in tech.
Mhm.
And so we had a decision point. My wife and I had been married 5, 6 months or before that. I should know the exact date. We were married on July 29th.
Uh-huh.
How long ago that was from November? I'm not very good at that math. Um, but it was very earlier into our marriage, and so I've started companies before, but we haven't started
Mhm.
companies before. And that's like it's a very different thing. And so I turned to her and I said, we had these plans yesterday. I was going to work at this company for another year and a half. Our stock options were going to do really well. We were going to have all this good stuff, and like blah 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 blah. We had all these plans, and like they're all gone.
Right.
So like we're at day zero, and let's sit down, let's pray about it, let's make sure we're bringing Jesus into this
Mhm.
first, and then I'd literally like start a company because this is what I
Right.
do. And like you haven't seen this before, you haven't seen this side of me because we dated like when I was working for a
Uh-huh.
company. But like I would like to go ride a rodeo, and like can we do
Right.
this? And
Yeah.
so yeah, we started there, and then started with a hunch. um about podcasters, and that's how I met you.
Uh-huh. I know. I was like, that is so awesome that you reached out to me. That just completely made my day because I only started my podcast in June. And when you reached out and wanted to interview, I kind of freaked out a little bit.
Did you?
Yeah.
So cool. Describe that for me.
Well, I mean, I just started in June, and when I started doing my
Yeah.
podcast, I didn't know what it was going to turn into. I didn't think, like, even now, I didn't realize that it's more like a spoken word, like spiritual poetry.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to actually allow people to or impact the lives of others from a spiritual and psychological view. But I was just on there just kind of like, hey, I just want to educate people because I know exactly what it's like to feel this way. And I want others to know, hey, I feel your pain. I know exactly what you're speaking about. But then when you reached out, it was like, hey, I would love to come on. I was like, okay. I had no idea what to expect or
Yeah,
anything. I just
as
kind
you
of jumped on.
continue to yeah, and that's like, that would be my biggest piece of advice for, any of your listeners who are, thinking about starting something. This could be like, I've run a little bakery before. I've run tech companies. I've done all this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But you guys just get started, and like people are way more excited
Hmm.
to help you out and like be part of your life and your journey and your story
Absolutely.
than you would expect. And that's probably, I've had depression before, and like that's probably the thing I wish I could have told myself at that point
Hmm.
too, is that like your friend, your neighbor, even like, uh, here's my tip. Here's my trick for when I start getting the blues, is I will go get my hair cut.
Uh-huh.
Not like it doesn't like, and it's not about getting my haircut. I could have gotten my haircut the day
Hmm.
before, but my barber will listen to me, and like my barber will tell me fun
Yeah.
stories, and like he does not know that he's my free
Yeah.
therapist, but he is my free therapist. Um, and so, but you got to just like you get, in my opinion, I
Hmm.
don't know anything really, but like just reaching out, people are always excited. People love being part of an adventure.
Absolutely. And it is about that because I love that we kind of bouncing ideas off of one another. And I
Yeah.
really strongly believe in destiny helpers. And I really believe that is you because when I started and you were coming, with your product, and I was just like, you were giving me a lot of great insight. And that's just kind of like, I love that your new website is insightvoice.ai because that's exactly who you are. So let's get into that. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm going to tell you about the first product first, because I think this is a cool part of the
Hmm.
story. The first product, I always think about starting products with a
Hmm.
hunch, right? So I don't have a business plan. I don't write everything down. I start with a hunch. The hunch was I go to bed listening to these
Hmm.
podcasters. I go to bed listening to Robin. I go to bed listening to, I love Dan Carlin. I love Bishop Barron. I love Father Mike
Hmm.
Schmitz, right? And like I like go to sleep listening to these people. Before I was married, my wife doesn't appreciate that, so I don't listen to podcasts going to bed now.
Uh-huh.
Uh, every night when I can't sleep, sometimes I
Uh-huh.
do. But it's such an intimate relationship.
Mhm.
Like spoken word, you just said that, it's like really true. Like the voice and the intonation and how these people feel, like you're so into it. And I'm like, I just want to ask these people
Mhm.
questions. Like, Father Mike, I've got it. Like, you're talking about the gospel. I got a question for
Right.
you. Like, I don't understand First Corinthians.
Uh-huh.
Like, let me ask.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was like, I'm going to build this product where I can submit a video of a question, and then Robin or Father Mike or whoever can
Mhm.
answer that question. And like, because it's good for you, right, Robin? If you get a question, like I talked to a bunch of podcasters, they were all
Mhm.
in because you get a question and you get to answer it, and that's all you're doing in your podcast
Right.
anyways. You're providing insights, you're providing thought leadership, you're telling stories. And if you could bring in an audience member to be part of the show and like really step forward and ask a question,
Mhm.
like, hey, I'm in a vulnerable spot, I had this happen to me, or like my friend had this happen to me, and like how should I help her?
Right.
Like that's awesome for you because that's directly helping somebody,
Mhm.
and it's being able to share that out with other people. That's great,
Right.
right? So like, a really cool idea. Um, the problem was, and I got like 250 podcasters to come on,
Mhm.
but one, the product wasn't quite good enough to really use. That was problem one. But problem two was people weren't. Um, it's no big deal for people who like have made the commitment to do video
Mhm.
to do video every day, right? But the first time you did video, it was really hard.
Yes.
It was really hard to jump on there and like, do I look good enough? Do I sound good
Right.
enough? Like, oh, I'm gonna put this out. Like, people are gonna remember me. And so, like most listeners, it was really hard for them to get over that barrier
Mhm.
and ask a question. So we had like really big podcasters with like, cumulatively had millions of listeners on the shows that were promoting my product for me.
Mhm.
Um, but not a lot of people ask questions. And so
Yes.
I said that's not really going to work long
Mhm.
term. So what we did, and I said, oh, there's this cool Chat GPT thing out there. There's this whole AI thing. And so I sat down one night and I took some answers. So some of the questions answered that come together, and I said, why don't I have ChatGPT write a blog out of this?
Mhm.
Like that would be cool, right?
Mhm.
And so it wrote a blog, and it was amazing, right? It took the person's voice and it like really authentically told the answer that they would give, except for they didn't have to spend the time writing that, right?
Right.
So like that's a huge time saver.
Mhm.
Like the amount of like people who don't do podcasts and people who don't create content, like the easiest part of it is getting on the show and talking.
Right.
All of the other work of the prep work,
Yes.
of the post work, that's like 90% of the work, and that's not work you probably want to do,
Right.
right? So like I said, how can we get rid of some of that for a podcaster, for a thought leader, for
Mhm.
whatever? And then two is like I can look from like what your customers are searching on Google, and I can just tell you what questions they're asking. And so for someone who's just getting started, like you, Robin, back in the summer, you could come in here and say, here are the top 100 questions that that like someone who's suffering would be asking,
Mhm.
and I can just answer them. I can start to build my brand around answering questions that people have, because people come to listen to be heard,
Right.
right? They want you to have understanding and empathy. And it makes sense that they're not willing to jump on and ask you questions directly, and maybe they will in the future because you build this habit.
Mhm.
But at first, you just start by saying, I know you, I hear
Mhm.
you, and I'm talking to
Right.
you, right? And like the answer doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't, like, it's never going to be
Mhm.
perfect. There's not a perfect answer. Um, but I have empathy for you, and that's very
Right.
clear. Like that's the goal. So I rambled a lot.
No, you're
Does that all make
fine.
sense? Okay.
But what I love the most is one, I feel that we both can definitely kind of complement each other on as far as evolving, and that's what it's about. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's about just getting on and just doing it, just starting it, just going with the vision that you see and just going with it, because you will grow. And it's definitely about growth, because even if you listen to my podcast, I have definitely grown, and your product has grown, and it's absolutely phenomenal, because I think of it as like a thesis generator in college. And when I just kind
Interesting.
of input my little 3 topics or 4 topics, and then it just came up. And that's kind of what your product is it's like a content generator for me. And I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. So if you are ready, can we go ahead and share your screen?
Oh boy, Robin, I was born ready. Um, let's do this.
Okay.
Am I sharing?
No, I think you took it
Okay.
off.
I took it
Yeah.
off. I was sharing, and now I'm not
Yeah.
sharing. This is typical. Technology guy doesn't get the technology.
No.
I'm like technology guy light.
Here we are. Let's see if I can get this screen. No, that's actually a good shot. Let's go back. Whoops. Hold on, guys. I'm not tech savvy.
We've got this
That's
though. We've got the
Matthew.
jokes. We've got the fun. I told Robin before the show got out, if something goes wrong, and it will, we'll just make jokes.
I know.
And now I'm at that time, and I don't actually have a joke to make. Um,
I don't know how to get it back.
okay, is it sharing
It
now?
is. We're gonna roll with this, because I don't know how to get it back. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's see.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through from the beginning the problem we're trying to solve, and it's content marketing for founders is the tagline, but it's really content marketing for anyone who's trying to tell their story,
Mhm.
right? So in content marketing, for those of you guys who don't know, and this is something I didn't know like 8 months ago, so it's about getting out there and talking about your customers' problems on blogs, on SEO, on social, so that your customers come to you rather than direct emailing them, pinging them, all that stuff. Just answering the questions out in public. Um, the most important questions of your customers out in public so that they come back to you. It's really basic, really good marketing that helps them. If they come and buy your product, great. If they don't, they've been helped, and that's really what you want,
Mhm.
right? And we're trying to do that in a really fast time, because when you talk to like a consultant or something, they'll tell you, "Hey, we can do this content marketing for you, but it's going to cost you $10,000 a month." And like founders, small business owners, they just don't have that kind of money,
Mhm.
and they don't have that kind of time to write 30 blogs a month, which you need to do if you're going to do this well. So the basic problem, this is why marketing exists at all, is that your customers don't know you exist and they don't trust you.
Mhm.
So we're trying to break it down into 3 simple steps that help you do it under 5 minutes a day. Step one is just a quick onboarding, and this is what Robin was talking about. You really answer 3 questions: who your customer is, what your customer problem is, and then what you're building to solve it. And then we'll spit out the top 10 topics that your customers need to see you as a thought leader
Mhm.
in order to like come talk to you, come buy from you, whatever. In order to become a thought leader in those top 10 topics, we're going to generate the top 10 questions related to those topics. So these are the top 10 questions you'd see from an SEO perspective that your customers typing into Google but not asking you. Then you just come on and record it's really a 1 to 2 minute video answering those questions, right? So it's really easy. You start your day. I start my day at like 6 and I record one answer and I post it on LinkedIn, and then I have it write my blog for me.
Mhm.
So you record one answer. Usually it takes me 2 to 3 to take, so maybe it is 5 minutes, but I'm getting better
Yeah.
at it. Then we share your expertise everywhere. So what you're really giving is those really core
Mhm.
thoughts, your unique perspective on the question that your customer would have. And then we'll do all the writing for you. So we'll write your email for you, we'll write your blog for you, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, whatever medium you post and wherever you meet your customers, we'll take that core thought and write the asset in your voice. And we probably get like in this version that you're going to see, we probably get 80% of the way. So you're going to have some edits. In our next version we're launching next week, we're probably going to get 95% of the way. So it will really be in your voice. And we're really, every time you add a new blog and you edit it, we're tracking those changes and we're taking it. So when we write your next blog, it's more into your voice. So it's going to be iteratively better.
Wow, okay.
Um, Questions on that, Robin? Or does that sort of make sense from a high
No,
level?
yes, that absolutely makes sense.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So we're going to build a test account here. Again, things might break here. This is a very early product, and that's just the way it goes. Okay. So I'm going to creating an account.
Okay.
Okay, so here are the questions that we ask everybody. We say, tell us a little bit about you, your company, and your customers, and we'll get your content marketing strategy set up. So, Robin, you have Soul Healer 1777. Do you want to do this again, or do you want to do a different one?
This is fine. We can just keep kind of going this way because I have my own account as well. So
Okay, awesome. Yeah, this demo account, so we'll be good. So, Robin, explain to me who your customer is.
who my customers are, anyone dealing, coping with loss, trauma, depression, and adversity.
We've all been there at different parts of our life,
Yes.
so we all need your advice and help. Um, So this one's kind of obvious for your problem, but what's their problem? And not like obviously their problem is loss, trauma, depression, adversity, but like what's their problem for moving to the next step in healing?
Not knowing where to start.
Okay, awesome. That's really cool. And what are you? I have it. It's written for like a product perspective. What are you doing to solve it? And like or like what do you do for um, someone who's suffering that comes and works with you?
I provide support, guidance, and healing.
Awesome. So that looks really good, and this doesn't have to be perfect. We're aiming for 90% of accuracy. So if anyone goes through this, like don't stress too much about this. You can always go back again and try it again. Um, but what's happening here is we're building those topics we talked about,
Mhm.
and again, these topics are ones that when you go through this, think about this as, would this topic lead my customer to trusting me or like wanting to talk to me? That's really the thing. So self-awareness, is that good?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, grief and loss.
Yes.
I think that one's
Mhm.
there. Healing practices and techniques. This one really speaks to me.
Yes.
Stress management.
Mhm.
I'm going to add a little bit to this. I'm going to say uh, stress management. Like some people that could bring up like sports performance stress management. I'm going to say during grief or loss. Just add a little
Oh, okay. I see what you're
nuance.
saying. Yes.
Um, Trauma and recovery strategies. I think that's great. Depression treatment options.
Mhm.
Uh, Okay, relaxation techniques. I'm not really sure. Maybe is that something that your customers think about?
Yes, they do. They I
Oh,
do
easy.
meditation as well. So yes.
Very cool. Very cool. My product works a lot better than mine does. Um, okay, goal setting and well-being,
Yes.
coping skills for adversity,
Mhm.
identifying unhelpful thinking patterns.
Yes. All those.
Okay, is there any topics here that you talk to your customers a lot? Um, any things that they're really concerned about, like would need to see you as a thought leader in addition to these?
There's several more, but it's, these definitely kind of hit the nail on the head. These pretty
Okay.
much are like right on point.
Awesome, awesome. That's really cool. If you do have more, just put add a topic here, and they'll build more questions for those as well.
Okay.
Obviously, like we were able to guess a lot from your business based upon what you put in there, but there may be things that we're missing. Okay, so what's happening here is in the background, the questions are being built and they'll show up here on the content topics
Mhm.
here. But I'm just going to show everybody how to answer a question real quick.
Okay.
And I'm going to do it from the perspective of if I was cool enough to be Rob.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. My name's Matthew, and I'm the founder of Soul Healer 1777. Um, our and our customers, our users, our listeners are people who are going through a difficult time right now. They've had grief, they've had adversity, they're feeling in a funk, they have depression. They really don't know what is the next step to being whole again. They know what it feels like to be whole again, and they like I've been there, and all I did was I thought about what it was like to be me before, but I couldn't actually take the next step to move there. And so we're building around a whole media sort of kit around allowing people to hear stories about wellness and well-being and recovery of themselves and their souls. Um, and we're also doing one-on-one consulting with individuals to help them overcome their unique needs as they go through their healing journey. So I'd love for you to reach out, whether that's to meet with me or ask a question to have me talk about on the show. It doesn't matter. I'm here to help you and help you get back to being you. Thanks so much. Right. So I'm sure Robin would do that a million times better.
That's
Um,
fine.
but we're trying. So what's happening here is this question is loading up,
Mhm.
and you'll have the video. So if Robin wants to share that on social media or whatever, she'll be able to be there. That'll take a second. While we're doing that, the questions and the topics are all over here. Robin, is there a topic that you'd like to go through and just see the questions um,
Actually, what I would
from?
like to know is because when I
Yeah,
created my account,
yeah,
I did not do that. That was probably my mistake, of course, but I didn't have that where I just kind of introduce myself right away.
yeah,
So how do I get back to that? Because I just kind of did the topics or the top questions. So how would I
yeah, yeah.
find
So you
that
will
first
see,
that first page?
you will see there will be one topic that's called your company name history,
Okay.
and you will see that original question there.
Okay.
So you can just click into there.
Okay. I missed that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first.
Um, yep, yep, yep. And like, that's something I should make more obvious, and like telling your story about your company is something I need to add in here as well because that's a really important thing.
Mhm.
Um, just to give some background, it doesn't matter whether you're doing something like you're doing, where you're working individually with people, or you're building like a SaaS company, building a software company. Like people love to hear about both like how it started, but also like what are the trials and adversity of how it's going.
Right,
So that's
absolutely.
something I need to beef up in there.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, let's dig into one of these topics. Anyone you want, or you want me to pick?
I can't really see it very clearly, so yeah.
Oh, then let me do it. Let me do it. So I'm going to go with coping skills for adversity.
Okay.
And we're going to start here. Actually, let's do depression treatment. I want goal setting. Okay. So goal setting for well-being. So the question is, and think about this as like, this question would help you get started,
Mhm.
right? And so you may need to edit it, and you may not even want to do this question, but the goal is for your business, you need to create content and have people come to you. What's going to get you up in the morning to be able to just start answering a question?
Right.
So the question is, are there any resources available to help me with goal setting for well-being?
Mhm.
That one seems like a pretty easy one to answer. Are there specific strategies that could help me reach my desired outcome more quickly?
Mhm.
That's something I'm sure your listeners could relate to. Do different types of activities have an impact on achieving my well-being goals? For me, the most important thing for me when I've been in depression is like making sure I get out for a walk
Mhm.
at least 4 times a day. And like, I don't know if that's good advice or not, but
Mhm.
I just need to see something different than the inside of my house, especially since I work from home.
Right. Everyone's
How do
different.
I
I think it's
ensure
awesome.
that my goals? What's that?
No, I said everyone's different, and I think getting outside is awesome. I think that's definitely something good to do.
Yeah. Yeah. How do I ensure my goals are achievable and beneficial? That one's a little vague, but I'm sure you could do something with it.
Mhm.
How do I stay motivated when working with my goals? Okay, I don't want to go through all of this, but walk me through how that might help you, might not help you, Robin.
That's going to help me tremendously doing that because I know when you and I previously spoke, you said we want to be asked questions, but no one's asking them. So having
Yeah.
this is perfect because when I did it and I clicked on one of these and how it just automatically generated the blog version. It generated for LinkedIn, it generated it for Instagram. That's what I would love for you to show is how quickly it generates. So then that way you can just copy and paste and put it out there.
Yep. So in the background, that's what's going on. Is I answered this question. You guys all saw that. The video's here. You can download the video, right? And so you can use that for whatever asset you like. What I really like is putting up on YouTube Shorts,
Mhm.
so that YouTube's one of the biggest search engines, so people can find me there with my video. But then here's my transcript, which is just the raw
Mhm.
transcript. But here's the blog that wrote.
Oh yeah.
And it's not perfect, but it's like pretty good starting place for like I'm telling my story.
Mhm.
And some of the tags are not great here, but that's being improved in version 2. Um, but here's like a rough press kit for I want to write a blog about the history of my company. And every day, right? So here's my habit. I come in, first thing I do in the morning is I look at the questions. I pick a question I'm going to answer. I answer it. I post that on social media with a LinkedIn post. So I just have this generate a LinkedIn post for
Mhm.
me, and I use that as sort of my pillar topic for the day. And there's the here's the answer and like the LinkedIn post that would go with that. And then I also post the blog, right? Because now instead of it taking 2-3 hours for me to write a blog, all I did was that 1 to 2 minute answer, and then I've got SEO coming for me long term and short term. I'm able to engage with my audience on LinkedIn. So that's really what it is. But if you need, if you got a big newsletter, you can turn this into an email. If you are a Twitter user, a tweeter, you just hit here and it will build your tweet for you.
That is
So that
phenomenal.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun. Again, it's going to get you 80% today. Next week, if you're using this, or 2 weeks later, we're going to get better as we go. But early products break too, so I'm sure you'll see some breaking at the beginning.
Honestly, I think this is just like a multi-million dollar idea. Like this is just phenomenal and I am so happy that you created this.
Yeah, it's been really fun, and it's been a journey though,
Like,
and the journey doesn't happen without um, without people like you, Robin, getting on and just talking about the ideas
Mhm.
and saying, hey, this is because I don't know, like I did a podcast a while ago, but I sort of showed up and talked.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't start a podcast from the beginning. And like, so like getting on and talking to you about like, hey, here's my problems, here's my issues, here's this, like that giving spirit allowed this product to come into being. So I'm incredibly grateful.
Oh, no problem. I am incredibly grateful that you even chose me to kind of test it out, to help you test it out.
So here's my tip, is you always want to start with people who are beginning
Mhm.
because they're actually asking the questions on a daily basis. Like I had seen that you had started this podcast like a couple months before, and you were frequently doing the
Mhm.
podcast. Those were kind of my qualifications, and then I got listened to your podcast. I was like, oh my gosh, this girl's voice is amazing. She's like she has empathy for her customers. Like that's the most important thing. It wasn't just about you. Like a lot of these podcasts are just about whoever they are. That's how I would do a podcast. I
Right.
would talk about myself a lot because I'm not good at these things. But yours was like deeply empathetic towards your listeners.
Mhm.
Um, and so those type of people, if for anyone who's building product or anyone who's starting even if it's a new bakery, um, those type of people are always the best to talk with because they're thinking about their issues. They're like really into it and like they're just giving in nature. And so that's what you are.
Thank you so much, Matthew. That is so sweet. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. And I agree. I think it's about showing people your true authentic self, that you're gonna mess up, we're gonna have struggles, we're gonna have to start over, just like when you said that you were laid off and you had to start from square one. Like, I love having that trial and error because it's so real, and I like showing
It's real.
people we're going to go through a lot and it
That's
is
just what.
very hard going through this and starting a business by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, but it's also like that's part of life. Like that's the adventure of it
Hmm.
all is and like yes, there's struggles and yes, there's all this stuff, but like for me when I can frame it in my mind as hey, this is an adventure and like, thankfully, we've got basics covered and that's a really big thing. If you're struggling and you don't have basics covered, that makes it much
Right.
harder. We're very fortunate and blessed for that we could take this time to start something. Um but yeah, but the struggles are real. Like the day-to-day grind is something. But it's just hoping we can get to a point like this and really I always think about it as like we're gonna have interesting stories about our
Yeah.
lives. Like my grandchildren are gonna be like that old joker, like I, I'm from him.
Yeah.
Like what? Um, which is cool.
That I get. That is very true, but it's about building a legacy. That's you're starting it, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, yeah, you too. You too. You're gonna have quite a legacy at the end of this thing too.
I hope so. Thank you for
You will.
that. I love
You
your
will.
confidence in me. But that is all that we have today, Matthew. If there's any advice that you had to give the listeners, what is the absolute advice that you would
One, listen to Robin. She's gonna walk you through it
get?
all. And so like, I've been there, and like I was stubborn and didn't try to reach out to people, didn't try to talk to people, and it really prolonged suffering when I had depression. So just give it a try. Like, and if it doesn't work, like go to the next person and try it. Like you're incredibly valued. And that's really important. But if you're starting a company or you're doing something cool, just reach out to me. My email is matthew@insightvoice.ai. I love to talk to early founders and chat, just like Robin helped me out, talking to her about her journey. I'd love to do the same and give back in the same way. And if you're working on telling your story from a company perspective, I'd love for you to try out our product. We have a free version that people can try out, and it's just at insightvoice.ai. And it's hard to authentically tell your story and slow down and like not take all the shortcuts, because your first videos will not be good. They will be
Yeah.
struggles, and like you will have to retake it 12 times, and that's just the way it is. But like in the end, authenticity is always going to win. It's going to beat out AI. It's going to beat out like storytelling has like Socrates did it in 4th century BC, and like the two millennia from now, like the storytellers will win. So like, if you like to do it fast and help build your blogs and do all the stuff where you can focus on the ideas, we'd love to help you out.
All right. Thank you so much. And I will also put that in the description box. So, anyone listening, if you want to get a hold of Matthew, it'll all be listed right there. But thank you again so much for coming on, Matthew.
Awesome. Thanks, Robin. This has been quite a treat.
No problem. Again, this is Robin Black. It's all about healing podcast. Everyone stay blessed.